Come check out the brand new Codex Adeptus Mechanicus.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, hobby maniacs. Today we are taking our first look here. Maybe not your first look, but our first look at the new Adeptus Mechanicus Codex. The writing was on the wall. We've been hearing for years that we are going to get a combined Adeptus Mechanicus Codex that took both the Skitarii and the Cult Mechanicus rules, put them into one fantastic book, but we never imagined that it would be during a new edition. But here we are, 8th edition. Things are new. Old things are new/old again, but we've got new rules. There's actually a lot going on with this book. Now, a lot of people out there are like, well, the normal internet, they always got something to say about something, right? So some folks don't like the fact that there aren't a slew of new releases for this book. Of course, we saw Boucher come out separately for $55, but that was pretty much it. Oh, and some data cards as well, which I think are pretty cool looking, and I'm sure we'll talk about those here in a minute. Now, just to be upfront with you guys, this is a first look. We're just going to kind of talk about the format of the book, show you cool things. We're not going to talk about tactics. I mean, I will probably talk about some cool stuff in here, but overall, we're going to save that for a different video, talk about some, potential army lists and what we think is good, what we think is not good. Now, of course, we're not idiots. There's people out there that have the book that have already told you what points have changed. Some people have gone as far as to say, don't even run this list, go start playing Horus Heresy for Mechanicus because this book is stupid or whatever. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start with that one. I'm just going to tell you, hey, this book looks cool. I personally think it's neat to see so much stuff combined into one book. I mean, hell, we're getting... Death Guard had 17 stratagems, Grey Knights had 19, Chaos had 27, Space Marine had 29. There's 28 stratagems in this book, guys. Like 28. There is literally the second most amount of stratagems thus far, and I'm sure probably for a long time, in any codex that has been printed to this date. Like, there is extra content in here. We got, rules for Forge Worlds. We've got all sorts of warlord traits. Like, we got the normal 6, we got 7 more for specific Forge Worlds that are optional. You don't even have to get locked into taking these things. They're completely optional. Like, there is a lot of content in here, plus the Knights. We got the freaking Knights in here. Freaking Knights with laser beams. Like, how cool is that? Why are you hating on this book? Like, there's so much content in here. There is a decent amount that has changed from the Index Astartes, or the Index Imperium 2 that we saw come out in... June, of course. That's just going to be the case with all these books, I feel like, at this point. Obviously, I have some personal views on if they should have told us that, hey, there was going to be 10 books coming out when they dropped all that stuff in June, but, we're just going to, that's water under the bridge. That's water under the bridge. It's just getting a little too negative. It's getting a little, let's talk about the positive. It's a positive, negative, positive sandwich. This book, I think, is definitely worth its value at $40. There's so much rules in here, chalked into one book, as I've already pointed out. Now, there isn't, I think the Marine book had 88 data sheets. This is not an 88 data sheet book, it's a 104-page book. So there is a lot of content in here, but there's probably more rules content than anything, except for we don't have 88 data sheets like the Marine book. So there's lots of stuff in here. Perhaps, lots of fresh new art, perhaps more background than we had seen in the past on the AdMech and how the Skitarii and the Cult Mechanicus work together, and all of the tech priests and such, specific backgrounds on Forge Rolls. Now, we had seen some of this content. I forget whether it was in the collector's versions or not, which I did unboxings of from the last edition, so you can definitely check those out on the channel. I mean, you've got all dope color schemes in here if you're ever wondering. I mean, there isn't a lot of collected information out there about the Mechanicum/Mechanicus, whichever year you're playing the game, I suppose. Great stuff in here about famous battles, timelines. The bestiary's got all sorts of information. It's like our G.I. Joe data cards on some of these guys, the special characters and such, like Boucher, Tech Priest, who are the Rust Stalkers, who are the Dragoons, how do these guys work? We even got Knights in here. Remember, Knights used to be a separate book. Everybody got mad that they kept putting Knight books out, and now we got them all in one book for $40. Like, I think that's a solid value. Like, why are you so salty? Why are you so salty about this book? Leave the salt at home. So here you can see the host of special rules for the Adeptus Mechanicus. So the canticles are all pretty much the same. Well, they are the same. That what we saw in the book, households, everything works the same at first glance as everything else we've seen. But there's tons more content. Of course, you've got the 22 data sheets, which cross between Cult Mechanicus, the Skitarii, of course, and you've got the Knights themselves. Now, the HQs here have updates to their Master of Machine abilities and what they can heal and what they can fix and things like that. So look out for that. There are some vague point changes to the Skitarii, Vanguard, and Rangers, and the Doomstriders, I believe, or the Duststalkers lost their attacks, or lost a certain amount of attacks. But again, we're going to break down a lot more of this, be a little bit more conversationally familiar with it here in the next video when our tips you need to know about the new AdMech comes out, because Juice actually is really good at the Adeptus Mechanicus, and we're going to talk to him and get the lowdown on what's super good and what's super bad, because, you know, having that insight with the tournament players here at Spiky Bits is kind of what sets us apart a little bit from some of the other folks that might have, you know, the books early, but hey, it is what it is. We're going to try to present all the information as best we can to you so that you can be knowledgeable about the new rules as well. Now, there are the new Forge World rules, which are kind of like a thing that if you have Battle Forged and you have the keyword of a particular Forge World and all of your detachment is from the Forge World, then you can choose a dogma that meets your fighting style. And that's basically the same thing as chapter traits, like all of your models are Death Guard, you get these cool Death Guard abilities kind of type deal. And those are listed right here. Again, they're kind of like a bonus that just kind of happens. So it's not necessarily going to always work in every list. Like if you just throw, you know, Boucher into a list, you're not going to get the Glory of the Omnissiah unless everything in there, you know, in a particular detachment has Mars Forge World, which there are some ways around that. Of course, you could still make an Imperium Super list and still have a Mars detachment, etc., and then get these special abilities. Then you get into all the stratagems. Now, some of these are generic ones that are ported over from other Codex books that we've seen in the past, but some of them are new and quite awesome. Some of them have to do with Knights. We've seen a whole bunch of different ones that are definitely worth more than a cursory look, for sure. If you're playing Knights, there's some cool stuff in here where you can port over some of the canticles themselves for a whole turn. You can add to invulnerable saves. You can, that's the Knight of the Cog. You can rotate ion shields, and they're all one command point, which is pretty neat as well. Then you've got the Warlord traits. Again, you get bonus Warlord traits. You don't have to take them. You're not locked in. Like Baller Sirius isn't like, well, I have to take this now, which is pretty cool. Good stuff to see right there. And so you can pick from the generic ones, or you can pick from the Forge World ones. Oh wait, maybe I'm misspeaking. Oh, I was thinking of the dogmas, excuse me. Okay, so instead of choosing from the AdMech Warlord traits, only if your Warlord is from that Forge World, if Balasera calls your Warlord, he has to have the Static Palm code trait. That's only if he's your Warlord. If he's just in your army, he doesn't necessarily have to be the Warlord, so you won't get this. See what I'm saying there? So I guess it is optional in a way, but not necessarily what I was just thinking just then. Like I said, there's a lot of content in here. You know, people are so hating on it. Then you got a ton of relics, way more than what we normally saw, which is really cool to see too. I think Solar Flare might be a favorite one if you can figure out what character to put it on that would make a difference. Because remember, you can't give people like Balasarius the relics. They just come with what they have already. So now you're looking at, oh, do I really want to port that Dominus across the table? That might not be a good idea. But you could if you got some other stuff going on. So there's just some stuff to think about. And then it gets into the point values page right there, which I'm sure some of you have already seen, but I'll leave it up. You can always pause it and take a closer look at it. That's for all of the units in this book, and then the war gear, and then of course the tactical objectives. Now, as far as the cards go, cards are looking fresh. Another $15 pack. They've got this really cool kind of brown, earthy, almost wannabe like Mars dust, but it's not like a true red. It's more like a, I don't know what that would be these days, an old bestial brown. And then on the back, they have the icon, the cult icon, the cult cog, and they're all in red. And then you've got the different backing for the tactical objectives, and the different backing for the stratagems themselves. But it only comes with the tactical objectives and the stratagems. You don't get any extra rules in here. Remember, there's no psychic powers or anything, so they don't give you a card, unfortunately, for any of the dogmas, any of the warlord traits, any of the extra rules in here as well. But they're all laid out pretty dope, and they've got cool little graphics underneath. They're not like a bunch of empty blank space that doesn't really do anything. And again, it's all the same, like clip art recycled, but it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's a great purchase. And again, remember, this is just as big as, say, the Space Marine one. Like, here's all the tactical objective boxes that have come out yet, and this is just a little bit smaller than the Chaos, and just a little bit smaller than the Space Marine one, and of course the Grey Knight one, and the Death Guard one. It's way smaller than right there. So there's all of that. I think these are great cards. I mean, I've been picking them up, and I've just been keeping them just because whenever I play them, I love the idea of having these for the tabletop, so that you can actually just kind of flip through and do the stuff, do the things, and have fun with it right there. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed our first look review, just breaking down the general layout and overview of the new Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, new $40 release from Games Workshop for 8th edition Warhammer 40k. Overall, I think it's a great book. We'll be diving more into the tips that you need to know over the next couple of days, and give you some ideas on some army lists in our next video on them right here. So that's it for this one. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to enjoy all the fantastic content. Leave a comment, drop us a like if you like what we're doing here as well, and head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.